we should make coffee.
We're gonna tell you some fun stories about our childhood and some confessions of some things that we did that probably weren't very good but are kind of funny, and whatever else we feel like talking about. Because I don't know how this is gonna go yet. It might be really dumb. Kaitlyn wants me to make her coffee, but we have a lot of dishes to do. So we gotta do our dishes and then we're gonna sip coffee and do our confessions. Are you ready? Coffee and confessions?
It sounds so stupid when you say it like that.
You ready, pal?
Yes.
Okay, but now I have to make the coffee.
True.
Ah! Shoot, I dropped it.
On a scale of 1 to America, how free are you tonight?
Okay, we're back and we have coffee. What about, like, stories? Were you ever sent to the principal?
No.
Actually, I wasn't really either, except that my friend convinced me it would be funny if we started making, like, kissing noises at this, like, one kid in our kindergarten class. I was like, okay, I'm a kindergartner. I want friends. So I was like, I'll do this with you because I want you to be my friend. So we're, like, making kissing noises. We're, like, whatever, behind him, and then he starts, like, crying. And then our teacher sent us to the principal. But here's the deal. We walked in super quiet, and the secretary didn't even look up, and we, like, peeked our heads into the office where, like, the principal usually was, but he wasn't there. So we just walked back, and we were like, he wasn't there. And she was like, well, don't do that again. And I was like, okay. I don't know, I hated getting in trouble as a kid.
Wait, I do have a story. I never went to the principal's office, but in first grade, Mrs. Schultz was honestly the worst teacher ever. But I had gotten all my work done, so I was talking to a friend that did not have all of her work done, and the teacher called me up and told me to put my name on the board, which was like, you know, where you have to stay in for recess. And I was like, why? I didn't do anything. She was like, I know you have all of your work done, but you're distracting others from getting their work done, so you need to stay in for recess. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I definitely cried, because afterwards, when you stayed in for recess, you had to come up to her and you had to tell her why you were in there and then what you learned from being kept in from recess. And I was like, I don't even know what I did wrong. Oh, and one time okay, so we were at lunch, and all of my friends, because we had an ice cream party at lunch, and all of my friends had finished with their ice cream before I did, so they all went out to recess. And then, like, I was eating my ice cream, whatever, and then time had gone by, and I looked around and I saw none of my classmates in the cafeteria, and I was like, what the heck? Are they all out at recess? So I went out at recess, and nobody was out there. I was like, where did everybody go? And so I went outside, and then I got locked out of the building, so I have to go back in the front. And then I walked into class because I was like, oh, maybe, like, they came in early or something. And then I was, like, 30 minutes late for the class because I got locked out of the building, and I was eating my ice cream. And then the teacher yelled at me in front of the whole class, and then I started crying. Look at that!
Oh, that's a cooler chair than the one I'm sitting on. This is what she just found on Instagram. I'm a pastor's kid, so we had a bunch of funny church stories. Remember one time, like, when my mom was working, we were being babysat, and she decided it would be fun to, like, make my sister and this other kid that went to our church get married. So they put, like, a baby crib sheet over her head and told her that, like, she had to kiss him, and she was crying and very mad. It was funny because, like, we used, like, the little, like, sticky part of, like, the nursery name tags, like the little strip on the side, and we, like, put them around their fingers as rings. You definitely spilled coffee on your shirt.
I did?
A little bit.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh, because my dad would play drums for the church worship band, and then one of my friends' mom would, like, play keyboard and sing, and so we would go to practice with them on, like, Saturday mornings, and we would, like, go, like, run around in the church and just, like, play with stuff, and we broke into one, well, not broken, it was just a cabinet, but we opened up this cabinet and there was all the candy for Awana. Like, if you, like, said your verse, you got a candy, so we found all the candy, and I was like, we should eat some. So we ate
church candy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, when Ellie and I were being watched when we were children at church, they had, like, these carpeted, like, wooden things to expand the stage or whatever. So you could stick it next to the stage to make it bigger.
Yeah.
Right. So they had them just propped up in, like, this weird hallway behind our gym at our church, and we thought it would be fun to crawl through them. So I was like, Ellie, this will be fun, because they're kind of like tunnels, but there were, like, nails sticking through them. So I was fine after I went through it, but she was pretty little, and she cut her head open. But the, like, lady watching us had left or something. So Ellie cut her head open and then told me not to tell Mom. And so I was like, okay, I won't tell her. She probably should have had stitches. So she came back, like, after daycare, and her shirt was covered in blood. So that's how my mom found out that Ellie cut her head open crawling through the carpeted wooden stair expanders at church. I
thought I had appendicitis like 2 weeks ago and went to
I thought she
the
was gonna
ER.
die. I was working. I get this text from her and it's all like, I think I have appendicitis or something is happening because I just spiked a fever out of nowhere and I have horrible side pain. So our RA is taking me to the hospital, and I was like,
Yeah, because I had, like, when I was like, geez, something's wrong, I need to go to the hospital, I could barely walk because the pain was so bad. Like, I was in my bed and I was trying to get out because we wanted our other roommate to take my temperature because I was like, I feel like I have a fever but I can't tell because everything's cold. And she was like, you're burning up. And I was like, oh God, I need to go to the hospital. And I could barely walk. And then we got to the hospital, I checked in, they took my blood, which hurt. And, well, I don't have the bruise anymore, but I had a really big bruise, like the size of a golf ball.
I'm trying to think of what else I've done as a kid.
Some things that I have not done as a kid, I've done as a teen.
What have you done as a teen? I know you like snuck out to McDonald's at 3 in the morning.
I was not really sneaking out, okay? I was 18. I had friends over and I had my own car. But we did go to McDonald's at like 3 a.m. to get 4 large fries, and then we ate all of them. Oh, and then like the night before I left for here, I had a bunch of friends over and we like set up a tent in my backyard and we slept like out in the tent. And at like 2 a.m. we were like, hey, let's go to like this haunted road that's like 15 minutes from my house. It's called Paradise Road. You should look it up. It is known because it's like a super scary looking road. I will show you a picture as well.
True. This is the road.
This is the road. It's like, it starts off, it's like way out in the country, and it starts off like pretty normal, and there's like houses on the side, but as you keep going, it keeps getting narrower and narrower, and then it's like a dead end in like the middle of a cornfield, and it's the scariest thing at night. So there's like a couple hills, and if you go over like the third hill, people say if you pull over and look in your rear view mirror, you can see like people hanging in the trees.
That happened, and my phone ran out of storage. Kaitlyn's gonna finish her story.
I don't know the exact story. Like, a teacher wanted a divorce from her husband, so she had 3 of her students come and like murder her husband in her house. And that is the story, Paradise Road. Yeah, we snuck out to that road at like 3 in the morning.
Did you see anything?
I've been there like 3 times. And the first time I went, I was very scared. That's because, okay, my friend pulled over, rolled down the window, and was like, Kaitlyn, get out of the car. And I was like, I am not doing that.
Oh my goodness.
The time that I went, I was driving. I was like, we should like have some fun with the people that have never been before.
No.
So I pulled over, I rolled down the window, and I was like, Carly, you better watch out for the children of the corn. Because it's like surrounded by this big cornfield. And it was like the end of August, so all the corn was really high. I was like, they're gonna get you.
Oh my goodness.
And then my friend, who's like the biggest chicken in the entire world, sorry Keely, she was
She was in her other video, the April Fool's video. You should check that out, you know, if you haven't watched it.
She actually wasn't too bad. It was more Carly, who was sitting in the passenger seat next to me, who I really got.
I'm actually so scared right now. I can't even watch scary movies.
This is where they got hung. I don't like this. I'm gonna cry.
What?
Oh God. Pedal to the floorboard.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, we were all screaming. Well, I'd say it was. It wasn't that bad. No, it actually wasn't.
Cool. Cheers. I could throw this in your face right now.
Do you want some
You want
burning hot
hot
coffee?
coffee? In the face. My name's Bert Macklin, and I'm with the FBI.